You've probably given up on Siri. After 2 years of Apple promising an assistant that actually works and then quietly pushing it back, most people stopped expecting anything real from WWDC. But here's the twist. WWDC 2026 wasn't a Siri update at all. It was Apple rebuilding your entire iPhone into an AI machine. And almost nobody framed it that way.
Welcome back to bitbiased.ai, where we do the research so you don't have to. Join our community of AI enthusiasts with our free weekly newsletter. Click the link in the description below to subscribe. You will get the key AI news, tools, and learning resources to stay ahead.
So in this video, I'll break down what Apple actually announced, what normal people get, what developers get, how it stacks up against Google, Microsoft, and Meta, and whether any of it is real or just another beautifully edited demo. No hype, just what the evidence shows. Orienting on the keynote. If you want to follow along with the keynote yourself, Apple's own chapter metadata splits it into 4 parts. The intro at 0, platform improvements at 504, trust and safety at 1656, and Apple Intelligence and Siri at 2753. That order actually tells you a lot. Apple polished the platforms first, addressed safety second, and only then unveiled the AI layer sitting on top of everything. This wasn't a company leading with a flashy chatbot. It was a company trying to show its work. The one-sentence version. If I had to summarize the whole event in a single sentence, it's this. WWDC 2026 was Apple's attempt to rebuild AI around the operating system instead of around a standalone app. Apple's official wrap-up frames the conference around the next generation of Apple Intelligence, Siri AI, parental controls, and software updates across iOS 27, iPadOS 27, macOS 27, watchOS 27, visionOS 27, and tvOS 27. Notice what's missing from that list. Brand new hardware. This was a software credibility event, and that matters more than it sounds, which I'll come back to. What ordinary people actually get. For most people, the headline is Siri AI. Apple says the new Siri can use your personal context, understand what's on your screen, pull information across your messages, email, photos, and notes, answer questions with up-to-date info from the web, and perform more actions inside apps. It also finally gets a dedicated Siri app, so your conversation history follows you across devices through iCloud. Developer testing started immediately, the user beta lands later this year, and it starts in English. Now, that probably sounds like every AI press release you've ever skimmed. And if you're already skeptical, good, keep that energy. Because here's where Apple's angle is genuinely different. Google and Microsoft built their assistants as cloud co-pilots that reach into your work and your browsing from the outside in. Apple is doing the reverse. It's embedding the assistant directly into the device, the OS, and the native app model. So if this works, it shouldn't feel like open an AI app and ask a question. It should feel like your phone just quietly handled the task in context. That's a better experience, if the reliability is actually there. The upgrades beyond Siri. And Siri isn't the only thing here. Photos gets features like spatial reframing. Image Playground adds higher quality photorealistic generation. Safari gets Notify Me, which can watch a page and ping you when something changes, like a restock or a price drop. The Home app gets generated descriptions for your camera clips, natural language search across that footage, and automatic surfacing of moments it thinks you'll care about. And if you have kids, Apple massively expanded screen time and family safety with Ask to Browse, time allowances, approval for new contacts, and interventions for violent content on top of the existing nudity protections. Here's the honest take, and I want to know if you agree in the comments. For everyday users, that bundle matters more than any benchmark. The best Apple AI story isn't our model is smarter. It's your phone can probably save you time without making you learn a new workflow. A Siri that remembers what your friend texted you. A browser that watches for the price drop so you don't have to. Cameras you can actually search. That's practical consumer AI, and it's a lot less abstract than the model wars everyone argues about online. The catch most coverage skips. But before you get too excited, here's the catch nobody puts in the thumbnail. Not everyone gets the same experience. Apple's own materials say, Apple Intelligence needs newer hardware, and the richer features need newer chips and higher memory thresholds. Siri AI comes later this year, starts in English only, is delayed on iPhone and iPad in the EU, and isn't available in China at launch at all. So this is a real upgrade, but it's a staggered, selective one. And where you live and what you own decides how much of it you actually see. The part that actually got me interested. Okay, here's where it gets interesting, if you care about AI platforms and not just features. Apple didn't stop at Siri. It expanded the foundation models framework so developers can run Apple's models on device and in private cloud compute. Plug in third-party and open-source models. Work with vision inputs. Use context management APIs and semantic search, and build genuinely agentic experiences. Apple's developer docs even say the framework supports any provider that conforms to its language model protocol. That's not a set of branded demos.
That's Apple, trying to build a real model runtime layer underneath the whole system. And the reason that's the most important thing in the entire keynote is simple. Assistants only feel magical when the system underneath them is structured. Apple is now telling developers to expose their app's content through Spotlight's semantic index, expose their actions through app intents, and even map on-screen views to entities using view annotations, so Siri knows what you're looking at. In plain terms, Siri's intelligence isn't supposed to come from guessing. It's supposed to come from structured integration. That's the right architecture if you want an assistant that does real work instead of one that just sounds confident.
The dependency problem. But that elegance comes with an obvious weak spot, and I'd be doing you a disservice if I skipped it. Apple's success now depends on developers actually adopting all of this. If the big apps don't expose high-quality entities and intents, Siri will look brilliant inside Apple's own apps, and inconsistent everywhere else. Apple clearly knows this, because it shipped a tool called App Intents Testing, specifically so developers can validate their Siri, shortcuts, and Spotlight integrations against the same infrastructure those features run on. That's smart engineering. And it's also a quiet admission that reliability is the hard part, not the model. The deeper developer stack. There's more underneath, too. Apple introduced Core AI, a new framework for deploying models on device, with Python tools for conversion and optimization, a Swift API, and a model repository. It kept pushing MLX, and its Metal 4 sessions showed machine learning tensors, neural rendering, and direct work with the neural accelerators in M5 and A19 class GPUs. Add in agentic coding in Xcode, and the strategy snaps into focus. Apple wants local, native, Apple Silicon-optimized AI to become a first-class way to build. If you're not a developer, the short translation is this. Apple is trying to make AI run closer to your device instead of shipping everything off to a remote server. That usually means lower latency, better privacy, and tighter app integration. The trade-off is that your device matters more, your memory matters more, and the fanciest features may simply not work the same on older hardware. Privacy and private cloud compute. Now let's talk privacy, because this is where Apple is trying hardest to stand apart. Its private cloud compute architecture says your data should be processed statelessly, with no privileged runtime access, with non-targetability and verifiable transparency. And Apple backs that up in a way most companies don't. It released a virtual research environment so outside researchers can actually inspect the system. And it expanded its security bounty around it. That's not the usual "trust us, we don't log your prompts." It's an attempt to make privacy claims auditable instead of just marketable. And credit where it's due. That's rare. Why privacy isn't the whole story. But, and this is the part I'd push back on if Apple were sitting across from me, privacy isn't the same thing as reliability. And it isn't the same thing as being harmless. Once Siri can reason over your messages, your notes, your email, your photos, and your app data, mistakes get more expensive. The risk is no longer just, is Apple storing my data? It's, did the assistant retrieve the wrong thing, surface the wrong context, or act on something I didn't actually mean? Apple's architecture genuinely lowers some categories of risk. It does nothing to remove the messy human risk that comes with an assistant this deeply wired into your life. Apple versus Google. So how does this stack up? Against Google, Apple is moving straight onto Google's turf. Google already has Gemini Personal Intelligence connecting Gmail, Photos, Search, and YouTube, plus Gemini Live using your camera and screen in real time. Apple is catching up on the concept, but with a stricter privacy and OS integration pitch. Right now, Google still looks stronger if you want broad cloud context and aggressive multimodal features. Apple looks stronger if you want the assistant tied tightly to local apps, system actions, and privacy controls. Different bets, not a knockout. Apple versus Microsoft. Against Microsoft, Apple is solving a different problem entirely. Microsoft already has Copilot Vision, plus the much deeper Microsoft 365 Copilot and GitHub Copilot ecosystems that live in enterprise and coding workflows. Apple's stack makes it more credible in consumer AI and native app orchestration. But if your world is enterprise automation, developer productivity at scale, or work-centric agents, Microsoft still has the stronger story. Apple isn't really trying to win that fight yet. Apple versus Meta.
And against Meta, the contrast is almost philosophical. Meta AI is going voice-first, social, and wearable, especially through its apps and its glasses. Apple is essentially arguing that the trusted personal assistant should live in your operating system, not in a social graph. Meta may win on raw distribution and casual daily usage. Apple is betting on trust, coherence, and system-level execution. Which of those you find more convincing probably says a lot about how much you trust each company. So tell me which camp you're in down below. The business model tell everyone overlooked. Here's a line buried in Apple's own summary that I think matters more than most of the headlines. Apple says some Apple Intelligence features, including image generation, have daily usage limits because they rely on powerful server models, and that increased access comes with most iCloud Plus plans. That tells you two things. First, Apple is still managing real cloud inference cost and capacity. The abundance isn't free. Second, iCloud Plus is quietly becoming Apple's soft monetization layer for premium AI and home camera intelligence. In the U.S, iCloud Plus starts at 99 cents a month for 50 gigabytes and scales up through 200 gigs, 2 terabytes, and beyond. Keep an eye on that because it's how this gets paid for. So here's my verdict. WWDC 2026 made Apple's AI strategy dramatically more believable. Before this event, the story felt fragmented. A privacy thesis, a few useful features, and a Siri promise that kept slipping. After it, the pieces actually line up. Siri AI is the front end. App Intents and Spotlight are the integration layer. Foundation Models is the inference framework. Core AI, MLX, Metal 4, and Xcode are the developer tooling. Private Cloud Compute is the privacy answer. Put together, that's not a feature drop. That's a platform. Why I'm still cautious. What I'm not going to tell you is that Apple has won anything. Reuters is right that Apple walked into this event under real pressure from companies that moved faster on agentic AI. And Apple's hardest problems are all still ahead of it. Third-party adoption, fragmented regional rollout, real-world reliability, and whether any of this holds up outside a carefully rehearsed demo. A keynote is a promise. Shipping is the proof. What to watch next? So here's what I'll be watching over the next few months, and you should too. 1. How well third-party apps actually expose their entities and actions into Siri. 2. Whether Apple's privacy-first approach ends up feeling faster or slower than Google's and Microsoft's. 3. Whether iCloud Plus quietly becomes Apple's premium AI upsell. And 4. Whether ordinary people actually adopt these features or just forget they exist once the keynote buzz fades. If this breakdown helped you separate the signal from the marketing, that's the entire point of this channel. So subscribe and you'll get the same no-hype treatment on every major AI release. And I genuinely want your take. Did Apple finally fix Siri's strategic problem? Or did it just repackage the same AI race in a nicer wrapper? Drop it in the comments. I read them.